Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 3 playing a bit of Kill Confirmed here on the map Combine, running around here at the FFAR rifle, otherwise known as the FAMAS. Now, I think I've actually used this gameplay on my channel before, but I wanted to reuse it for today's video because I think it's especially relevant to the topic of the video, which is going to be, yet again, supply drops. Now, I know that I said I was not going to be talking about Black Ops 3 supply drops anymore because that horse has just been beaten to death over and over and over, and I'm not really going to be talking about Black Ops 3 supply drops in this video. Of course, I'm going to make a couple of references to it, but I'm going to be mainly talking about supply drops in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Will they be in the game? Should they be in the game? These are things that we're going to be discussing here in today's video, and if you guys would like to actually go ahead and vote now, I understand I read the comments on all my videos, and you guys can definitely get your point across in the comments of this video, but it's a lot easier just looking at a poll. You can look at the comments to try and get a general consensus of what people are trying to say and what people think about the game, but if you actually just go ahead and look at a poll, it's a lot easier that way. So over there on my Twitter, it's at NerosTweets. I have made a poll for you guys to go ahead and vote on. Now keep in mind there's a couple of things. You have to have a Twitter account. You can't just go over there and vote because it's going to ask you to sign in if you try to do that. And I did make the poll a couple of hours before this video actually went live, so you guys have just under one day to actually go ahead and vote on that poll before the poll closes automatically by Twitter, and then we get the final results. So basically the poll is, would you be okay with supply drops being in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare? That's what we're going to be discussing here in this video, and of course I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, but be sure to go ahead and vote on that poll as well, because I would definitely like to see the numbers on that. So before we get too far in the video, I'm going to preface this by saying I am going under the assumption that there are going to be supply drops in Infinite Warfare. It just seems to make the most sense. We saw them in Advanced Warfare, we saw them in Black Ops 3, we have seen quotes from people at Activision that say the revenue that they've earned from supply drops in both of these games has completely just far and beyond past their expectations, so I assume there's going to be supply drops in their game. Now, I think it's important, again, before we get too far into the video here, to recognize that it's important to be open to the perspective of other people. I think there's fans out there who have a very strong opinion one way or the other on the idea of supply drops in a game, but it's important to remember that there's other people out there with different perspectives. Now, one thing I'm going to bring up right here at the very beginning is going to be the idea that there's different types of people out there in terms of a financial situation. There's some people out there who have more time than money. There's people out there that have more money than time. There's people that have time to dedicate 8 hours a day to Call of Duty. They can play all day, and so the idea of earning supply drops can just be fun to them, and it can give them something to work towards. And there's other people who maybe work full-time or go to school full-time or just are busy people in general. Maybe they have a family. Maybe they can only play a certain amount of hours per week. And those people, it's just nice if they can just go ahead and purchase supply drops, right? In my opinion, supply drops are perfectly fine. I am okay with supply drops. I'm okay with card packs. I'm okay with loot boxes or loot crates. I'm okay with all of it, even in full-priced games, because there are people out there with more money than time that are busy. And if the things only give cosmetic-only items anyway, then what's the harm in allowing them to purchase these drops, which is going to give them cosmetic items if they would like to try to unlock them? It just seems to make the most sense. If you have a lot of time and not a lot of money, just play the game a bunch, get a bunch of supply drops, get a bunch of cosmetic content. If you don't have a lot of time to play, pay a little bit of money, get some stuff, have some fun. It just seems to make the most sense. I think cosmetic is perfect. Cosmetic only items can be fantastic. I've actually heard from a lot of people out there that one of the reasons why they enjoy Black Ops 3 so much is because they're always working towards something. And I've given praise to Treyarch and Black Ops 3 a number of times so far this year, talking about their progression system. I love the weapon progression system. I love the fact that there is 1,000 levels of Prestige Masters, so you're always working towards something. I feel like in 2016, having a game that has a lot of progression in it is fantastic, because progression is half the fun of most video games to me, right? If there's a game that just is like a campaign where you're like, okay, it's an 8-hour long campaign, you have to play through level by level, and it's like, I'm not even progressing, I'm just going through level by level, just killing wave after wave of enemies. Like, I'm not enjoying this. I want progression. I want stuff that I feel like I'm working towards. And I think that's important to have in a video game these days, at least from my perspective. And so to have supply drops earnable in-game, like we saw in Black Ops 3 with the crypto key system, is good. In Infinite Warfare, if they do decide to have supply drops, I would like them to kind of help out both types of people, right? The people that have more time than money, as well as the people that have more money than time. For the people that have more time than money, I think they should earn supply drops at a faster rate. I feel so it takes, like, forever to earn them in Black Ops 3, it seems like. It doesn't take that long, really, but it takes a good while to earn just one supply drop, which is probably not not going to have anything you really want in it, especially by this point in the year when you've already gotten the vast majority of stuff that you want, and now you're just kind of chasing a couple of elusive pieces. Like, for example, for me, I'm still chasing the MX Grand. I have a lot of these supply drop weapons, but I don't have the MX Grand, and I don't have the HG40. So basically, anything I get out of a supply drop is a disappointment, because those are the only two things I want out of a supply drop at this point now, right? So they should try to make it so fans can earn them faster. Now, you can have a currency in-game like crypto keys. You can have that if they would like to, but what if you would also give them a supply drop every time they leveled up? What if you give them supply drops every time they prestige, and then increase the amount of supply drops they get by their prestige? So let's say you get 2 of them for hitting first prestige, 5 of them for hitting second prestige, 7 of them for hitting third prestige, so on and so forth. Now, maybe those numbers are a little bit too high. 7, I don't know, it seems like a lot. Then again, who am I to say? This is all from just my perspective. But I think that would be a better system if they were to implement supply drops in Infinite Warfare. Now, for the people that are actually going to be spending money on these things, I don't think they really need to change anything besides maybe up the chance of the better quality things out there, because the last thing you want is a situation like we had here in Black Ops 3. I'm notorious for this. I've gotten a lot of flack for it, but those people are mostly just misinformed. I ended up spending $300 on supply drops and got a crossbow. It was pretty insane. I could purchase a real-life crossbow for $300. Treyarch, their drop rates on your weapons are pretty freaking horrible. Now, the reason why that's okay for me is because I'm a YouTuber. I don't think a lot of people, at least the people that fuss about this kind of stuff, understand that the money I earned on that video, plus the money I earned in future videos using that crossbow, more than outset the cost of the $300 it cost me to actually get it. Like, that's the thing about being a YouTuber. It's a tax write-off. I write this stuff off of my taxes. It's part of my business expense here. $300 for me on supply drops is not a big deal. I'm going to earn that money back via the videos I make, either just with the supply drop opening, as well as with the videos I make using the stuff I got from those supply drops, right? It makes sense for me. For the average person who's not a YouTuber and this isn't part of their business expense, it's kind of absurd to spend $300 and only get one weapon. The drop rates in Black Ops 3 were absurd. So one of the things they could do with Infinite Warfare to improve supply drops and make it so they're better for the people that have more money than time is to make it so the drop rates are a little better. But of course, there's a very fine line you have to work with there, because if I'm trying to make it so you earn more supply drops for people that just play the game a lot, and I'm also simultaneously trying to say they should up the chances, then suddenly everybody's gonna have everything that they want right away, which in theory can actually be a bad thing. If you get everything you want right away, where's the fun? Right now, there's people that say they look forward to opening up supply drops. If you have gotten all the DLC weapons already, like if you got them all, just it's the day one, as soon as they came out with the Black Market update, and suddenly you get that weapon that's in there, then suddenly you're less excited to open up supply drops in the future, right? Because you already have the thing that you want. Now, of course, there's still a little bit of fun. You could, of course, get a cool looking camo or a cool looking decal or what have you. But yeah, for me, example, the calling cards, I have every single World at War calling card with the exception of one. If you guys don't know, if you get all of them, like the entire set of 6, you get another one on top of that that's actually animated, and it looks really cool, and it's been an elusive piece for me. I have 5 of the World at War ones. I need the 6th one to get the animated one. I have the animated Black Ops 1 one, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's a fun little system, right? I like that system. Now, of course, where all of this goes south is when they start adding in game-changing content, which is something I'm really worried about for Infinite Warfare, because it makes so much sense for them to do it, right? Advanced Warfare had game-changing content, and what's funny is people didn't seem to care that much if there was game-changing content in there, at least compared to Black Ops 3, where everybody got very upset about it right away. But in Advanced Warfare, like right from the get, there were weapons and variants in supply drops that could be purchasable, which is like 10 times worse than we have here in Black Ops 3, yet people seem to care a lot less back in Advanced Warfare. But then in Black Ops 3, they started off cosmetic only, then after a couple months, they started putting in actual weapons, which is actual content. I have said time and time again, I am perfectly fine with cosmetic stuff. It's okay. I'm not entitled to everything. And if you're somebody, and again, I try to be open to everyone's perspective, but I will never understand the perspective of somebody who is upset about cosmetic stuff, right? If I have a blue skin and you have a green skin, I don't care that you got lucky and got the green skin, right? It's whatever. It does not bother me. It doesn't affect the gameplay. I may be a little bit jealous, sure, but not so jealous that I'm going to say the entire system is flawed or anything like that. It's just, I don't care that much. It's a skin. It's a recolor. It's whatever, right? It's when game-changing content gets in there, that's when things are bad, right? That's when things start getting a little bit trickier, because you don't want to add in game-changing content, because that's going to negatively affect players that don't have that content. It's not fun for anybody to have somebody on the other team running around with a weapon that you just absolutely have no access to. Now, God forbid that weapon actually be a little bit overpowered. Suddenly you're entering pay-to-win territory, which pay-to-win has been thrown around so much over the past couple of years. It has lost all of its meaning. I don't think Call of Duty is pay-to-win. Let me just say that right from the get. Now, I will admit the Marshall 16 is a little bit ridiculous, but I don't think any of the weapons besides maybe the Marshall 16 that you get out of supply drops are going to give you an advantage over other players. Call of Duty is just a game that's very hard to suddenly just have a ridiculously powerful weapon as compared to others, because the time to kill is just so ridiculously quick that it's going to be insane. But I have made the comparison before that if they were to add specialists to supply drops, which who knows what we're going to be seeing with Blackjack with his contract system, or whether or not he's going to be in supply drops. I think it's going to be a contract system, last we knew. But imagine if, just hypothetically, they were to add in Firebreak as a supply drop specialist with his flamethrower, which is ridiculously powerful, which melts anybody that it touches. Now, if that were to have actually been supply drops, I think people would have some actual legitimacy to their arguments of pay to win in Call of Duty. But without that, I don't think Call of Duty enters pay to win territory. Not to say that there aren't games out there that are pay to win. I just don't feel as though Call of Duty is that. It's just one of those things that gets thrown around so ridiculously much that, again, it's really lost all of its meaning, not just in Call of Duty, but in the gaming space as a whole. I'm hoping that they don't add in that stuff to Infinite Warfare. Now, my prediction is they're going to do the same thing that we saw in Black Ops 3, where they're going to start off cosmetic only, and then somewhere down the line, so they're going to be like, all right, well, here's an MP5. I know how you guys are enjoying Modern Warfare Remastered, so what if we add in some Modern Warfare Remastered weapons into Infinite Warfare? Aren't you guys happy? Don't you love us? And then we're like, no, you asses, we do not want exclusive weapons locked behind supply drops and RNG paywall. If you want to add them as DLC, just add them as DLC, $1.99. I think a lot of people will be perfectly fine with paying that for a weapon, especially considering the amount of playtime they're going to put into that one particular weapon, unlocking all the camos for it, if there's a dark matter equivalent in Infinite Warfare, or what have you, right? I think a lot of people would be okay with paying $1.99 for a weapon. Now, if history is any indicator, I think it's going to be $5 if they were to add in the weapons, because weren't the Maverick and the Ripper and Call of Duty Ghost made available on the store for $4.99? I think that was the price. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to go back and check, but you guys get what I'm saying here. They're $5 or less to buy individual weapons. Now, if you're going to add weapons into your game, I think fans are okay with that. It's fun having new weapons in the game. Like, it is seriously amazing when you get lucky enough to get a brand new weapon out of a supply drop because you have a new weapon to play with. You have this whole new piece of content to explore in Black Ops 3 or in future Call of Duty games going forward. It's great. I love that they add new weapons to the game. It started with the Peacekeeper back in Black Ops 2, and honestly, I want DLC weapons in every COD game going forward. Now, I'm not saying that they should skimp down on the number of weapons in the game so that they can add in DLC weapons later. They should give us the same amount of weapons that they always do with every standard Call of Duty game, like roughly 10 assault rifles, roughly 6 or 7 submachine guns, probably 4 sniper rifles, 4 shotguns. Like, give us the same amount of weapons that we get in every Call of Duty game, but periodically throughout the year, give us new DLC weapons and make them cost $1.99. I think a lot of people would go ahead and purchase those. It would be perfectly fine to be able to have that, or throw us a bone now and again. Say, hey, you know what? Just for being awesome, here's an AK-47. You know, because it's not hard for us to make an AK-47. They've been in nearly every Call of Duty game ever. Just to here's a freebie on us. Have a free weapon. And then maybe later on down the line, people wouldn't be as upset if you did decide to charge $1.99 for a new DLC weapon to play around with. I think that's a very good system. But then again, you're entering the pay-to-win territory by making it cost $1.99 for a weapon. It could be potentially good, but I just don't think for $1.99 that's really going to limit anybody's access to that particular weapon. I think that'd be a good system. Of course, we'll have to see. But yeah, supply drops in Infinite Warfare, I don't know what they're going to be doing with it. It's very early, right? It's very, very early. We haven't even gotten to E3 yet. And here's the thing about E3. I doubt we're going to see anything from the multiplayer at E3. All we know that they're going to be showing so far is campaign gameplay, which is going to give us more of an idea what the game is going to be like. So we are still in the very infantile stages of what we know about Infinite Warfare and even what we know about Modern Warfare Remastered. Heaven forbid they put freaking supply drops in that game. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? What if they only give us 10 multiplayer maps by default so we can get the rest of them via supply drops, which would not work. It would not work, guys. It's impossible to do that. How could you possibly put a map in a supply drop? Then you open up this map, like, oh, cool, I now have access to I don't know, shipment. Cool, now I have access to the shipment playlist. I guess I'll go play with all the other people that randomly got lucky enough to have shipment in their game. Like, I don't think that's going to be the case. It just doesn't seem to make the most sense. It would definitely fragment the community ridiculously. Like, imagine if there's 10 multiplayer maps in supply drops and you have 3 of them. Now you can only play with other people that only have those same 3 DLC maps. It wouldn't make sense. So we'll never see that happen. But weapons, perhaps? I don't know. We'll have to see what they're going to be doing with it. But it's definitely a slippery slope. It just comes down to, will they have the integrity to not put in game-changing content? They know that they're going to make a lot more money if they actually put game-changing content in supply drops. So it comes down to Infinity Ward, but more likely it's going to come down to Activision to make the decision to say to themselves, you know what? We've done it the past couple of years. We've gotten a lot of flack and a lot of bad feedback from the player base, so much so that it may actually start negatively impacting our sales. Let's go ahead and not do that this year. Let's go ahead and just have normal supply drops with cosmetic only items so people can go ahead and occasionally have something to work towards. I'll occasionally give them a cool looking camo or a decal or a calling card or what have you, and occasionally let's give them a freebie, and also occasionally let's charge for a DLC weapon. Now and again, $1.99. Here's an MP5 from Modern Warfare Remastered put into Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Here's the M4A3 sniper rifle. Here's a classic throwback from Modern Warfare 3. Here's an MSR. Stuff like that. If they were to do that, I think that would be a very good system. But again, that's just my opinion. But again, it's also important to be open to the perspective of other people. So of course, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts down there in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on supply drops and Infinite Warfare? Are you okay with supply drops in Infinite Warfare as long as they're cosmetic only? Are you okay with supply drops even if they aren't only cosmetic only? Are you against the entire idea completely, or do you just not really care that much? Let me know about that in the comment section below. And also remember to go over to my Twitter at NeroTweets and vote on that poll, which will be basically the same answers I just gave you guys right there, just to see what you guys think in regards to supply drops in Infinite Warfare. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop me a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.